Hello there, grade 3s, and a big, cheerful, warm welcome to your next maths lesson. As you know, my name is Liz, and we are going to be having some fun today. So, let's get on with our lesson. As you know, this lesson is brought to you by WorksheetCloud, and you can get hold of me for any questions about this particular lesson on the email address that is reflected on the screen. And today we are going to be learning some more about time. Right, so we're going to revise some of the stuff we've already done before, and we're going to then push on a little further so that we can tell the time a little bit more accurately, right? I hope you're going to enjoy it, grade 3. So let's have a look at the history of time. All right, because you think about it, I mean, do you ever think about how things started off? Clocks didn't just fall out the sky, did they? And we often don't think about things like that. How did they used to tell the time before they had clocks with little hands that moved around in a circle in clockwise direction, or before they had digital clocks, or electricity for that matter, or phones? Okay, so let's have a quick look then. Have a quick look at how they used to tell the time. The Egyptians and the ancient people of history obviously had ways of telling how many hours or how long something took to do or what kind of time of day it was. And they used to use a thing called an obelisk, which was a tall, pointy building which had pictures all over it. And it used to throw shadows, and so did the Egyptian shadow clock and the Egyptian water clock, and we'll have a quick look at all of those later on in more detail. Then there was the candle clock, the sundial, and we still use an hourglass. And in fact, grade 3s, you can often see at schools or churches or other buildings like that, they'll often have a sundial as well, which throws a shadow when the sun is in different parts of the sky. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the sundial then to begin with. So what is a sundial? Well, a sundial is an instrument with a pole in its center and with markings that tell the time like a clock. So when the sun shines on the pole, shadows are cast or appear different markings on the sundial. So as the sun moves across the sky, it creates shadows. And there you can actually see, grade 3s, if I get my little magic pen, you can actually see how there is, let's highlight that. You can see the times on that sundial. Where is it? That is 12 o'clock. Can you see there? So there's your little hour markings around the edge. And so archaeologists, those people who dig for things that are buried under the ground from long ago, discovered what is thought to be the first sundial in Egypt, made of stone. Some people believe that inventors in Greece, Rome, or Babylonia could have been the first inventors of sundials as well. So they'd go and look at the sundial and see where the shadow was pointing. Quite clever, quite mathematical actually, very clever. All right, so now we're going to have a look at a candle clock. What is a candle clock? The candle clock measured time at night and on cloudy days when a sundial could not be used, because if there's no sun, there was no shadow. And the marks on the candles measure the passing of the hours. So let's have a little look at this one now. It's quite interesting. Right, so there, for instance, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, right? And if it's once the wax melts, then it passes along these little markings here and tells the time. So the marks on the candles measure the passing of the hours. Sometimes a candle was put onto a metal plate and a tack, or like a little nail, was stuck into the candle at the hour markings. And when the candle burnt down, the tack would fall onto the plate, telling what time was up. Also very clever. All right, so that's just a couple of things. Right, what will you learn today? Something different, a little bit of history, obviously. Your warm and happy welcome, grade 3s, to your next maths lesson. As you know, my name is Liz and I'm your maths teacher, and we're going to get on with it as I speak. So, it is brought to you, this lesson, by WorksheetCloud, our fabulous company, and there on the screen is the email address that you can get hold of me if you need to ask me any questions. Right, so we are going to be learning about time. We're going to be carrying on about learning about time, because this is not the first time, obviously, that we have done time, but we're going to take it one step further as we go along. Right, so grade 3s, what will you learn today? Something different. I'm going to add a little bit of history to your maths lesson today. I love history, and so why not? We're going to revise analog and digital clocks. We're going to look at seconds, minutes, and hours, half past, quarter to, quarter past, minutes to, and minutes past. And then we're going to be telling the time using analog and digital time. So let's get on with it. Well, let's have a little look at the history of time. So long ago, they used to use things called obelisks, Egyptian shadow clocks, Egyptian water clock, a candle clock, a sundial, and an hourglass. And those are just some of the many different ways they told the time in the olden days. Right, so shall we have a quick look at what a sundial does for us? Right, we've seen them. You can see them in schools. Often they have sundials in the gardens. They have to be outside because they use the shadow made from the sun. So let's read a little bit about it. A sundial is an instrument with a pole in its center and markings that tell the time like a clock. When the sun shines on the pole, shadows are cast, and there you can see it right there. Shadows are cast. Okay, there's the shadow there. And point to the different clock times, all right, or appear at different markings on the sundial. Archaeologists, people who used to dig for items from history from long ago, they discovered what is thought to be the very first sundial in Egypt made of stone. Some people also believe that inventors from Greece and Rome or Babylonia also could have been the first inventors of sundials. I think it's a very clever invention. Wow. Okay, what's a candle clock? I quite like this idea. The candle clock measured time at night and on cloudy days when a sundial could not be used. So if it was a cloudy day or at night, there was no sun to cast a shadow on the sundial. The marks on the candles measure the passing of the hour. So if you have a look at the candle there, you can see 8, and then the little side marking here, which is your 8:30 and your 9:30, 10:30 and 11:30 and so on. Very clever as well. The marks on the candles measure the passing of the hour. Sometimes a candle was put onto a metal plate, and a tack or a little metal nail was stuck into the candles at the hour markings. And when the candle burnt down, the tack would fall onto the plate, telling what time was up. How clever is that, grade 3s? Maybe you can invent something one day. All right, so an Egyptian water clock. These early water clocks fell into two categories. Some flowed out with water, let the water flow out, and some with inflow. In an outflow water clock, the inside of containers marked with lines of measurement. Right, let me just pull my little information box out here. Water leaks out of the container at a steady pace, drip by drip. And observers or people walking past could tell the time by measuring how much the water level has changed at that particular time. Now, that's also smart. An hourglass. We still use hourglasses. In fact, we use hourglasses often when we are playing certain board games or card games. We can also use an hourglass to measure how long something takes to cook. You can give smaller hourglasses where there's only a minute or so is used to be shown on that hourglass. So an hourglass, also known as a sand glass or sand timer, uses sand trickling slowly through a tiny hole from the top part of the bottle to the bottom. And once that sand is through, you know that a whole hour has passed. That's also very clever. Now, an obelisk, that looks small, but it's actually huge. They were used in Egypt, and they also caused a shadow to be shown when the sun shone on it in about 3,500 BC, a long, long time ago. The Egyptians used the shadows that these huge stone obelisks created on the ground to tell the time of day. Each obelisk was built to tell a story as well, so they'd have drawings and writing on the side, but they worked very well as shadow clocks, very much like a large sundial. And then, of course, in recent times, these are clocks that we use today. Even, well, I've got a grandfather clock that my father actually made. It's beautiful, and I treasure it. So there's your grandfather clock up there, and then these are little pocket clocks that people used to wear in the olden days. They had to put them in their pockets and pull them out when they wanted to tell the time. Then there's your little wristwatch, and there's an analog wristwatch, and there is a digital wristwatch. And here we have our wall clock, our alarm clock, and these are also analog. And then, of course, there's our digital clock, which shows doesn't need hands. Okay, so an analog clock obviously needs the hands to tell the time, the hour hand, the second hand, and the minute hand. Just a refresher, because time can be really tricky when we're starting to learn. We all know, guys, that an analog clock has got hands, at least 2 hands, and some of them even have a second hand. All right, so here we have our hour hand, which is the smaller hand or the shorter hand, and here we have our minute hand, okay, and here we have our second hand, which ticks a second at a time. All right, let's look at some interesting facts about time, just to refresh our memories. 1 minute, if I say a run on the spot for 1 minute, that's the same as 60 seconds. It goes tick, 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 tick. They always say, you must say, if you're counting in seconds, you count 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and so on. And that is how you can know what a second counts like. 1 hour. If I read a book for 1 hour, that is a total of 60 minutes. Okay, well, and when we're looking at our clock here, I'm just going to find a different pen. Over here, grade 3s, what am I doing? Okay, over here, I have my hour hand, which is a smaller one, looking at 6, and then the long hand is looking at the 12, so that is 6 o'clock. And we can see that every time our little hand moves to the 1 or the 2, it's going, if it is a second hand, it's going 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. If it's a minute hand going round, it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And each time the hour hand, which is the smaller hand, goes from one number to the next, it has moved a whole hour on. Right. I'm going to just let you get a feel of what the second hand looks like when it goes around. It's 2 seconds, 3, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8, 9, 10 seconds, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 seconds. That's just to give you an idea. These are lovely clocks to play around with. Okay, now we're going to have a look at times of the day and what they look like on the clock, right? So we've got 6 different times of the day we're going to look at. So the first one is our alarm clock, which wakes us up in the morning, and there it is at 6 in the morning, right? Then, secondly, that there is about when I have breakfast. So let's move that on. Watch how the minute hand is going around, right? Once it's gone around the clock once, the minute hand, the hour hand moves to 7 o'clock when we have breakfast. Then the third little time we do in the day is we go to school. Let's say that's approximately 8 o'clock. So another hour later and we're at school. So we woke up at 6, we had breakfast at 7, and at 8 o'clock we went to school. Then we were at school all this time, 8 till 9, and then till 10. That's when we have tea time probably. And then we go back to class, 11, 12, maybe 12:15 we have lunch, or 12:30 to 1. Right, now it's 1 o'clock, okay? So, and 1 hour after lunch, it's home time or sport time, which is the number 4 activity there, sport. And then we have sport for maybe an hour or so till 3 or 4, and then we nip home. And look, it obviously doesn't take this quick. And then at about 6:30, now it's 5 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. It's been 12 hours since we woke up. And then 6:30 we have supper, or maybe 7. Then it's time to go and have a bath, get ready for bed, watch a bit of TV, chat to our families, and at about 8, if it's your age, or 8:30, we go to bed. All right, so that's just to give you a little bit of a look at what the day looks like. Right, grade 3s. Let's have a look now at telling the time. You've done this before a little bit, but we need to just refresh our memory. So we always look at the hour or the smaller hand first. Now, just pay attention here. Just going to get a different color, if it will allow me. All right, so here, there is your hour hand. Now let's focus on the hour hand because it's a smaller one. All right, it is not yet on the it's not yet on the 4, grade 3. So that means it's still the 3rd hour. It's still the hour called 3. Okay, so and the minute hand has gone all the way around here. After the 6, which means it's gone for 30 minutes. Okay. Oh, this pen is not behaving itself. Oh, there we go, Mrs. Harmon. All right, so that's gone all the way around here. The minute hand, which is your long hand. Okay. It's gone 35 minutes. So it's 35 minutes past 3. I can say 35 minutes past 3, or I can say 25 minutes to go till 4, or I can say 3:35. And the 35 here, this here, is how many minutes past 3 that is. Okay, right, let's have a look at the other one. Come on. It's not listening to me, is it? Oh dear. See why we can't get off this. There we go. All right, so now let's have a look. The minute hand, which is this, the hour hand, which is this one here. I'm not going to use my magic pen because it's misbehaving. There's the little hour hand right there. It's a smaller one. And that is nearly on 1 o'clock, but not quite. All right? So, in fact, it's how many minutes past 12 do you think that is? So let's see if we can move that along. So it's gone from there, 5, 10, 15, 20 past 12, 25 past 12, 12:30, 12:35, 12:40, 12:45, 12:50, 12:55. Right. So what's the time? 12:55, or 5 minutes to 1. Great. All right, and here we have our analog and our digital clocks. Okay, I'm just going to do something and see if it works like it did with me earlier, but I'm going to try and set this clock and set that one at the same time. Let's see if it'll pay attention. All right, let's give it a try. It doesn't look like it's going to do this for me. I think my computer's getting tired today. All right, let's see if I can get that started and get that started. Right, so there's my seconds. All right, 6 o'clock is the time, and there's a little second hand going around the clock on my analog clock, and there on the digital clock, it's counting seconds as well, but differently. Okay. So now it's 22 seconds past 6 o'clock. Right, not minutes, it's going in seconds. Pause that and stop that one, just to give you an idea. Right, now we are going to figure out these times. And now this one, you can see that is on the 3, because it's not on the 4 yet, so that time is what? So the hour is 3. How many minutes past? Well, it's just gone past half past. So I'll say it's about 32 minutes past. Right? And this one is nearly 10 o'clock, but not quite. So it's how many minutes past 9 is it? So there's the hour. The hour is 9 because it's not exactly on the 10 yet. And it's gone all the way around to minutes to, or 55 minutes past 9. But it looks like it's also 57 minutes, about 57 minutes past 9, which means 3 minutes to go till 10 o'clock. Right, what hour are we looking at? Well, it's 5, of course. 5, how many minutes past 5? It's about 7. Now remember, grade 3, whenever we write the time after the little dots, we have to write 2 places after that hour. Okay, so it's 07. You can't just write 57. This is not good enough, right? No, you have to write 07. Cool. What is the hour here? Well, it's not yet on the 2, so it's got to be called 1, right? And how many minutes past? Well, if it's gone all the way from there to the 6, then it's 30, 35, 40. It's about 1:43, I would say. If you get a little bit confused about this, grade 3s, you know that you can go and watch this again, okay? All right, so use the pen to write the time in the digital clock. Over here, so how would we write it as a digital time? Right, well, there's the hour. What's the hour? 6. How many minutes past? Well, that if it's gone past the 4, then it's 20, but it looks about, I would say, 6:23, right? So that time there tells us the 23 is how many minutes past 6 is it? This one, the hour hand, again, we always look at the hour hand, is on the 2. It's not yet on the 3, so we still call it 2 hour, all right? And it is about a minute before quarter past. And if it's quarter past, it's 15 minutes past, but let's call it 2:14. This one, what's the hour? It's not yet on the 12, so it is 11, right? And how many minutes past? Well, it's gone, if it has gone all the way around to 30, to 6, it's gone 30 minutes, then 35, 40. I would say it's 11:42. This one, well, what's the hour? 9, so we get that out the way first. How many minutes past 9? It's not yet half past. It's not yet 9:30. It's about 9:28, I would say. Good, well done. Go back and try it again and see if you can get that right. Right, we're now going to draw the hands on the clock. This is fun. So let's just take this down first, and it's going to show us what hands to draw. All right, or what we're going to draw. So I'm going to find my line with a little arrow on it. Okay, so let's put it at, let's remember the hour hand is smaller, right? So it's just a little bit past 9. You can see it's 16, and there is my 16 minutes past 9. Fabulous. Right, let's look at the next one. 8 is the hour. Right, I'm going to move this now and put it to 8. In fact, I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to redraw it. Oopsie, oopsie, oops, oops, oops. Come on, it's supposed to move. I'm going to just take my hands off here. All right, guys, let's go and draw the next one. So it is 8 is the hour. Remember, that's a shorter little hand. And it's 2 minutes past 8. So just after 8. Right. Fabulous. And what's the next one now? We're just going to have hands floating off. Come on. It's easier just to draw them. Right, so what's the hour now? Right, the hour is 4. But you can see it's 4:37, so it's kind of going to be between 4 and 5. And then 37. Well, if it's 30, 4:30 would be there, but it's going to be 4:35, 4:37 minutes past. Right. And you are, I'm sure, very clever and getting this much quicker than I am. What's the last time now? It's 1:59, so that means it's 59 minutes past 1. Okay, so get my arrow again. The time or the hour is 1, but it's nearly 2, so we need to put our little hour hand there, and it's 59 minutes past, so our minute hand is going to go right there, nearly 2 o'clock. Nearly 2 o'clock. So, well done. Okay, so grade 3s, thank you so much for watching this quite a short lesson today. And it's brought to you obviously by WorksheetCloud, and there is a worksheet waiting for you to download and print out and do, and then there is a memorandum or an answer sheet as well, so you can check how many you got right. If you get stuck on anything, just email me, or you can go back and watch the video. That's the fabulous thing about having a recorded video that you can go and watch over and over again. So, lovely grade 3s, it is an absolute joy for me to bring these lessons to you, and a real privilege. Have a lovely day, gorgeous girls and boys, and be safe, be happy, be kind to one another. So, from me, and goodbye.